Man suddenly hunted by the spoon murderer. They're knocking on him 24 hours a day. In the car park. In the library. Even on the street. Even when Jack was shaving. He gave him a spoonful. He accidentally shaved his face. Jack told the others. Every day, someone hits him with a spoon. But no one would believe it was a spoon. Because he was the only one who could see the killer. Jack tried to film him with a camera as evidence. But he couldn't. That's when Chuck cornered him in the kitchen with a steel spoon. He just pulled out a steel knife. Chuck didn't saw him off with the ladle. He stabbed Chuck in the neck. Not only was Chuck fine, he pulls the knife right out. Then he came at Jack with the knife in his hand. Jack thought he was going to stab him with the knife. Instead, Chuck threw the steel out of his hand and continued to hit him with a steel spoon in his right hand. Man meets spoon murderer. He suffers tens of thousands of blows a day. The angry man tries to run him over with his car. But Chuck jumped on top of the car. Chuck jumped on top of the car and kept hitting him with a steel spoon. The man was chased by Chuck with the spoon. Desperate, the man ran for his life. He chased him all the way to Japan. He ran to America. But no matter where he went, the man's fate was to be beaten. The man was beaten and screamed. Until he was beaten to the point of complete collapse. That day the man finally could not take it anymore. Jack decided to fight back. He got a chainsaw and tried to cut Chuck in half. But the murderer wasn't scared. He casually threw a steel spoon at Jack. But as Jack was about to fight back when he accidentally shot himself. The man ended up in the hospital with serious injuries. This time he was in a hospital bed. He still suffered from the constant blows of the spoon. He couldn't escape from the murderer anymore. The man was suddenly beaten with a spoon. At first he thought it was a prank. But the man is a spoon murderer. He was hit with a spoon tens of thousands of times a day. Since then, Jack has been on the run from the killer. Tortured, Jack decided to fight back. The angry man spent all his money. He bought a lot of heavy weapons. He decided to fight the killer. Then he took his gun and found Chuck. He shot him in the face. But Chuck kept hitting him with a spoon. So he took out a bazooka. And he bombarded him with mines that he'd planted in advance. But it was all for naught. The killer walked towards the man with disdain. And the man gave up his last struggle. Until one day, the man finally couldn't hold on any longer. The murderer was still hammering away. Suddenly the spoon broke. Jack was overjoyed. But then, the next moment the murderer proudly showed his spoon. And pulls out the spoon to Jack's horrified eyes and continues pounding.